Hi, my name is Shaylin Booth, and I will be presenting to you today. To start off with, many of you probably have heard or seen the movie The Black Cauldron, and there's some illustrations up top. Wrong direction. If you look up there, those are some illustrations from the actual movie, and the cover on the bottom. But did you know that the Black Cauldron, the movie, is actually based off of a book series by Lloyd Alexander, which is the same author that we read The Fortune Teller last week in our sample book. And so this is one of my favorite series I've ever read, but really, I really recommend the book more than the movie. The movie's I love the book. I'm a diehard fan. So, and the book I'm actually reviewing today is not The Black Cauldron, because that's actually the second book in the series. I'm reviewing the first book, which is called The Book of Three. It's kind of a weird name, but that's what it's called. So these are actually some different covers for the book. The one that I'm the most used to seeing is the one in the blue cover over on the far left side. I've seen all of these different covers before, some more than others, but yeah, so there you can see that. So the criteria, why do we consider the Book of Three, so this book, it's a plain cover, why do we consider it a modern fantasy book? So modern fantasy, as like some of the criteria talks about, it cannot happen in this world, or if it happens, they actually move out of the world. You have to have believable characters, which Taran, who is the main character, he has many faults, and so you can connect with him in many children could connect with him personally, just because that's what he's trying to do, and but you see him trying to overcome his faults and to seek, especially in this book, to be more awesome and more amazing, and be a warrior and just do everything to become a warrior and everything that exhibits that. But the believable character interacts with unbelievable either lands, characters. So one of the characters that he interacts with, because Taran is an assistant pig keeper, he's been dubbed that at the beginning of the book. He's an assistant to this pig named Henwin, which Henwin is a pig that can actually help give prophecies. And Dalbin, who is the wizard who kind of helps raise Taran, because Taran is actually an orphan. He trains Taran to become a man, in essence. The theme is kind of like the same thing idea. Taran's an orphan. He tries to discover himself, and if you not just reading the book, the Book of Three, you read like Black Cauldron, The Castle of Lear, Taran the Wanderer, and The High King. Love the series, I promise, and it gets better as you go. But he's trying to discover himself throughout these books, and it's really good. I've really liked it. And so, like, in the beginning, like I said, he's been dubbed the assistant pig keeper, and he thinks he's like, that's awful. Like, I don't want to be an assistant pig keeper. And he learns kind of through this book a little bit, and he continues to learn it, that he needs to trust those and to learn to get information from those who he sees lower than himself. There's a character that he interacts with, Gurgi. I kind of, in my head, visualize Gurgi as a character who is kind of like Gollum. This is kind of like that, and Gurgi is always craving for his munchies and crunchies, but he like at the beginning he's like, I don't have nothing to do with it, and even by the end of the series he has a better relationship with Gurgi. And the author stays very consistent with the setting. Like it's very magical, and like you have these magical feels, like, but it's also like you're not transforming back from one world to another. It's a world that he created, and I believe this is considered a high fantasy book because it's a whole different world. Like, it's completely different, separate from our world. And even in the beginning, in the author's note, Lloyd Alexander says, to it, says the geography of Prydain is peculiar it's to itself. Any resemblance between it and Wales, and that's where he gets a lot of it. People are saying, like, oh, it's based off of Welsh mythology, but it's actually not. It's kind of out of his own head, but it's very similar. And then he says, the Chronicle of Prydain, which that's the land, is a fantasy. Such things can never happen in real life, or do they? Most of us are called on to perform tasks far beyond what we believe we can do. Our capabilities seldom match our aspirations, and we often are often woefully unprepared. To this extent, we are all assistant pig keepers at heart. And I just love this book just because, like, some of the descriptions, the wisdom that actually comes from this, like, from growing up and discovering yourself, and discovering who you are, no matter what labels you've been put on or whatever. Kind of as to give, like, more of, like, the suspend disbelief, the characters that you actually see right next to me and above, that character is called the Horned King. And the Horned King is this ruler who's very evil. Actually, I'm going to read this description for you in the book. Taran halted suddenly. Hoofbeats thundered in front of him. The forest shook as they grew louder. In another moment, a black horse burst into view. Taran fell back, terrified. Astride the foam-splattered animal rode a monstrous figure. A crimson cloak flamed from his naked shoulders. Crimson stained his gigantic arms. Horror-stricken, Taran saw not the head of a man, but the antlered head of a stag. The Horned King! Taran flung himself against an oak to escape the flying hoofs and heaving, glistening flanks. Horse and rider swept by. The mask was a human skull. From it, the great antlers rose in cruel curves. The Horned King's eyes blazed behind the gaping sockets of whitened bone. And I just love, like, that. It's not normally people's eyes don't blaze or they don't glow behind masks, but this is just an example of kind of like this belief. So, what happens? Really quickly, sorry, I'm taking a long time. Taran, and the assistant pig keeper, lives at Ser Dalbin. And Ser Dalbin is where Dalbin, the wizard, is, and where Cole is, and they take care of Henwin, the pig. But one day the animals are kind of disturbed, and Henwin, which is a prophetic pig, runs away. And Taran is frantic because he's supposed to be taking care of Henwin. He runs after her, and that's when he encounters the Horned King, as I read that passage. And he runs away from the Horned King and his men, and he actually ends up getting a little bit injured in the encounter. But then while he's running away, he encounters Prince of Annuvin, which is Prince Gwydion. Sorry, I'm not good with Welsh names, so I apologize. I'm trying my best. And that's when Taran tells him his news. That's when the prince, Gwydion, realized that Arwen, who is this antagonist, the Dark Lord type thing, is trying to gain forces and trying to overcome the Prydain. And so as they're journeying, they meet Gurgi, this hungry creature that always is looking for munchies and crunchies. It's actually really cute, but kind of annoying at the same time. It's interesting. But they get in trouble with Achren, an evil previous queen of Prydain. And you also meet Elanwi, who is there at the castle with Achren. And then you also have that you meet Flurflem, who is a bard who's you find out why his string keeps on breaking, and it's usually when he's saying something. And so just to conclude, and actually the above map, that's kind of to show what it actually looks like, the map of the of what happens in the book, and in other books that actually happen. And so why I love this book, I read this book when I was first in 6th grade, and it was so much fun. It was very adventurous. It's very exciting book to read. It's fantastic. I just love it. It has very description. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings, just for kids. I've never read Lord of the Rings, but that's what it kind of reminds me of. And I guess I also have fond memories because when I did a book presentation like a long time ago in 6th grade, and my teacher actually let me bring in like a sword that I made, and sadly enough I don't have the sword here in Idaho. But I had this sword that I made that resembled the sword of Derwin, which comes up later in the story. And so I made this presentation. I had permission from the principal and everything. It was such a great thing to do, and it's such a fun book. And I feel like it's also a good book to read because it's not necessarily like the newer fiction. It's an older fiction, but also that this is a book that I think boys can connect to, because I have been in a class where my teacher said there's not a lot of books that are geared more for boys, and I feel like this book can actually be more geared their way, and they can enjoy it because it's more like Lord of the Rings. They're just having adventures, and they're following Tauren, who is the main character, and they can see how he develops as a character and how he progresses and learns and grows, and it's just awesome. You guys should read it. I mean, if you want to watch the movie, you can, but I so suggest reading the book. Read the book. It's so great. I hope you guys have a great night and a great day, whatever it may be for you guys, and have a good one. Bye.